I didn't have a chance to welcome you earlier in the evening. My name is Michael Cunningham. I'm Executive Director of Oxford's North American office. And on behalf of my colleagues throughout the University of Oxford community, I'm delighted to welcome you here this evening. Or also, I should say, we're delighted by the welcome we have received here in Houston. As you may know, we're on a bit of a road show, aging rock band with less hair than the Rolling Stones, but less wrinkles as well. And we were in San Francisco and Dallas, and here, of course, in Houston, and then we'll be moving on to Canada after this. But really, the story that brings us all together this evening starts more than 800 years ago in a damp island nation 4,000 miles away, when two kings, King Henry II and Louis VII, started having a bit of a squabble. Imagine that, a King of England and King of France fighting. Who could imagine? And as you may know, they were not exactly the best of friends and rather looking for ways to hurt one another. So finally, Louis fell upon the idea of kicking all of the English scholars out of the University of Paris. Well, as you know, back in the late 1100s, there weren't exactly a lot of universities, so they didn't have a lot of choice. So they went back to England, and in London at the time was not exactly the garden spot of Europe that it is now. Plague and pestilence was there. So they got on some boats and they went up the River Thames, and they found a little market town, Anglo-Saxon market town, where the Thames was shallow enough to cross your cattle or ford the river with your oxen. And Oxen Ford was there already, and of course became Oxford. And there was a little church that is still there today, Church of St. Mary the Virgin. And there was already some teaching going on, but these scholars came in and really turbocharged the enterprise, as it were. And of course, the university began. Now, for a bunch of smart people, nobody thought to write anything down, so we really don't know when exactly this happened, but we do know that in 1209, there was some pretty nasty business with the townspeople, and there was riots and actual murders, and so some scholars left Oxford, believe it or not, and went to this kind of flat, ugly part of England. And so the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the wimps go to Cambridge. But those who stayed persevered, and the rest, as we say, is history. And so all of us in this room, in one way or another, even Canterburyans, were touched by that story. And it is, of course, a great story. A story that really involves the work and sacrifice of many people. And Oxford, fortunately, has not had to rely necessarily on the kindness of friends, kindness of strangers, but the kindness of its own family members. And that is true here in Houston as well, because we are fortunate to have a group of alumni who give tirelessly of their time and energy on behalf of the university, the Oxford University Society of Houston. And so we'd like just to have the leadership come forward and say a few words about their enterprise here, so you know who they are, and know a little bit more about their program, and can join also in thanking them for their time and energy. So I'd ask Terry Soliski-Wiskowski, and Kevin Bradford to come forward and say a few words.
It's just such a joy and an honor to have our members of the Houston Oxford Society to welcome the Vice-Chancellor and his wife. We've been following you all around the world. I mean, really like in Paris and Madrid, and we go every year to which all of you must attend, the Alumni Weekend in Oxford. We've done it in New York, and now I understand next year it's going to be in Washington, D.C. And I'm off to Vienna. I think I'm going to be in the Guinness Book of Records for Oxford reunions. But when I met the Vice-Chancellor Andy and his wife Jenny and Hamilton, when we were in, I think it was a Fulbright lecture in Pembroke, my college, and I said, you have to come to Houston. And being a man and a woman of their word, they indeed did come, and we are so thrilled to have you and all the people from the New York office, and of course Christine Fairchild from Oxford, in charge of alumni affairs that we know very well. And so we thank all of you for coming tonight. And a lot of people have approached us, right, Kevin, to become members. We can't emphasize enough how much we want you here. And we're taking your cards, And we're trying to contact you, to contact me. If you don't get contacted by Kevin. We've had 16 events.
We
in the last
actually
year.
had 16 affairs last year.
Someone
We're
told
told
us.
to rename them as events.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was it. Oh, number 16. That's right. Someone told us to rename them events. Right. And so it's a very active society. And we really, we have here Father Bruce Noble, and he uses his home as the official Houston Oxford Society home Braeswood house. And we're going to have an event on May 20th, so please everyone sign up. But we are just thrilled, and we want all of you to become members. And I think you said in one of your correspondences that you love alumni. Well, we love you. We really love you, and we're sorry to lose you. But you're going to my native New York and NYU. But we're going to have you for a while, and we would just welcome you. We couldn't be happier that you're here. Kevin, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so just to reiterate what Terry said, first of all, just meeting so many people here this evening, we want to apologize if you're not on our email list. I know some people have also said that they sent emails and tried to get in touch with us, but there's this big void called spam folder where certain things go. So be persistent. We'll get the updated list from Joanne from the North America office, and make sure you will get on our distribution list. We're a little behind. We do have a Facebook page, so that's another avenue. We're trying to be a little more consistent in getting events posted on that page as well, and through the alumni office back in Oxford, so you can see they have a calendar as well, and we can make sure that we get all our events put on their calendar. But good to see everyone here tonight, especially all those from UNIV, which unfortunately is your first college, so anyone from Balliol, just remember you're number 2, and UNIV is number 1. Okay, thank you. And all the Cambridge events here, the commiserations about last Saturday. It's a great event.
And we hope to see you in Oxford for the alumni reunion.
Thank you. And again, we just cannot thank our volunteer leaders enough. I get paid to do what I do, so does the Vice-Chancellor. But to have folks do it out of the goodness of their heart really is a great testament to their devotion to Oxford. Going back to our tale of 11th century Oxford and the growth of the university, sometime around 1240, the first Vice-Chancellor was appointed. Again, nobody knows exactly when. But there's been different Vice-Chancellors, obviously, through the centuries, all different academic backgrounds, all different styles. But I'm willing to wager that no Vice-Chancellor has brought more enthusiasm and energy to the job than our current Vice-Chancellor.
Absolutely.
He is a man of great, perfect background, and I'd say, perfectly from my particular experience, because he raises money like an American, but he sounds like a Brit. It's going to be a hard act to follow. He is an Englishman, having been born and raised in Surrey. He went to the University of Exeter, where he read chemistry. Then he got a little bit of wanderlust and went to the University of British Columbia. As I like to say, nobody's perfect, and he went and got his DPhil at Cambridge. But then he saw the light, came back to North America, and had a distinguished career, first at Princeton, then the University of Pittsburgh, and then became provost at Yale, and of course 6 years ago joined us as Vice-Chancellor. He's had a fantastic run, both in leading the university academically, but also, again, bringing great energy and enthusiasm, and putting a bit more balance in the Oxford step. Nothing lasts forever. All good things must come to an end. So, as Terry mentioned, he will, at the end of this year, end his term as Vice-Chancellor, become President of New York University. But in the interim, we have 9 fun-filled months with our Vice-Chancellor. Please join me in welcoming Professor Andrew Hamilton.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. And Kevin and Terry, thank you for your warm words of welcome. I can't tell you how delighted we all are, the Oxford delegation, to be here in Houston. And we do not get here often enough. And so when Terry issued that challenge to me several years ago, I said, we will come, and we are here, and we will come back. Oxford will return. Christine Fairchild loves Houston and will return with the alumni group and others in the future. As you've heard in the introduction, there are so many alumni activities going on. Yes, we have the biannual event in New York, and it will be in Washington, D.C. Next year. We will have, as Terry said, the European Alumni Weekend. The American was such a success that we will have the European Alumni Weekend in Vienna the weekend after next. And so do think about future activities and coming and being part as well, of course, in Oxford every September, the Alumni Weekend. It is something to be celebrated today, to be here in deepest Texas and to find a room full of Oxonians and to find so many Oxonians playing roles in different parts of life and business and culture here in Houston. It's always for me a very, very wonderful and energizing thing to see Oxonians everywhere we go. My background was given to you by Michael, as you heard, and I love the comment about the history of Oxford and the way in which Oxford evolved over centuries. And you've also heard that I will be going to NYU. Now, many of you know that NYU is quite a remarkable institution because it's started a number of satellite campuses, one in Abu Dhabi, one in Shanghai, and several others around the world. And when I was being interviewed at NYU, I said, don't think this is new. Don't think that you've got the market on satellite campuses. Oxford opened a satellite campus 800 years ago. We call it Cambridge University. And so these are not new ideas. It's great to be here, and we bring you greetings, all of you. Oxonians, you spent wonderful years, I know, important, influential years in your life in Oxford. We bring you greetings from Oxford. We are in the middle of April, and all of you will remember this is a wonderful, wonderful time to be in Oxford. The daffodils are in full bloom. The crocuses in all of their glory are out. The colours in the garden, the beds of the colleges are all at their most vibrant. Oxford is looking beautiful. The college lawns are as vivid green as I have ever seen them. And of course we all know why they are vivid green, because they have been so well watered over the previous many months of one of our rainier winters that we've had in Oxford. It is looking fabulous. It is as beautiful as it always was. And let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, Oxford is in very, very good spirits at this stage. And Kevin has already mentioned, in especially good spirits, because last Saturday, as all of you know, it was now not one boat race that Oxford crushed Cambridge, but now it is two boat races, the men and the women, and it is just wonderful, and no surprise to anyone that Oxford women are as superior to Cambridge women as Oxford men are superior to Cambridge men, and have shown over so many centuries. And I'm getting some strange looks over here. You do understand that one of my many challenges Michael mentioned that the first Vice-Chancellor was appointed in 1240. I am, I believe, the first Vice-Chancellor of Oxford in 800 years. who is not a graduate of Oxford. I was not like all of you. However, as you now know, I am a graduate of Cambridge, and I can't tell you how much pain I have inside of me as I describe the results of the last boat race. But also, let's just remember that the success of Oxford extends not just on the River Thames, it also extends through the rugby and the cricket. The last 5 years, Oxford has beaten Cambridge at the rugby. We will be going for a record-setting 6 wins in a row in December. And once again, let me just point out, Oxford does change, and I'll come back to that in a second. Once again, in December, the women's varsity match, for the first time in history, will take place at the great rugby stadium of Twickenham on the same day as the men's, just as the way the boat race is now, the men's and the women's boat race, both on the same day at the same time. We get there in the end, but it's important that parity of the women's sports are now beginning to very clearly show themselves in Oxford, and that is a wonderful development. The university is thriving, and I think you will have seen, any of you who've been in Oxford recently, that the university is looking beautiful, as I said, in the gardens and in the colours, but you will see the beauty of the architecture is as strong and as clear as it ever was. Oxford is that great institution where the past and the present, and indeed the future, just sit so well side by side. It's a university that founds so much of what it does on its tradition and on its history, and no better example of that tradition that has been shown, as we've heard from Kevin, in University College, which I think is the 3rd oldest college in Oxford, isn't it? After Merton and Balliol, is that right, Kevin? But the collegiate structure is a very ancient structure, yet it has such obvious resonance for the present day, and that community of scholars, the community of students and faculty, the opportunity that the college gives for people arriving in the university to feel part of a community and to have that intimate support and academic oversight is so relevant and important for 21st century education. The tutorial system is an ancient relationship between teacher and student, but it is so utterly relevant for the 21st century, to be training young people not in facts, not in functional techniques that will be out of date, that will be obsolete very, very quickly in this fast-moving world. The tutorial system is teaching young people to think critically, to approach facts, and to be able to dissect them, to be able to reconstruct them. And it's something, again, founded on an ancient principle, but is utterly relevant for the 21st century. And the tutorial system is alive and well in Oxford. It's something that many of you experienced, and I suspect many of you would point to as being a pivotal part of your education in Oxford and the training of your mind that took place there. It is thriving, and the commitment that the university has made to ensure the tutorial system remains at the heart of our education is real, it's there, the commitment is strong. As you come to Oxford today, you will see, yes, those beautiful college quadrangles, you will see the Bodleian Library and the magnificent Ashmolean Museum, the other glorious structures that represent Oxford. But as you step back, as you look at those glorious dreaming spires, that skyline of Oxford, sorry, I feel another anti-Cambridge joke coming on. As you look, everyone knows that Oxford is the city of dreaming spires, because of course Cambridge is the city of perspiring dreams. And it sort of symbolises the differences between the two institutions. But seriously, as you look at the dreaming spires, you will actually see in modern Oxford they've been joined by other clearly visible entities, cranes. I like to call them dreaming cranes of Oxford, because you will see quite a significant amount of investment in new facilities. Oxford is a university at the cutting edge of 21st century scholarship, whether that scholarship is in medicine or in science or in social science or in the humanities and the digital opening of the humanities at the Bodleian Library and the Ashmolean Museum. Oxford, for all of that great history and tradition, is a very modern university with its eyes fixed firmly on the future. I'm sure all of you remember that very forbidding building on the corner of Cat Street, Parks Road and the Broad, the New Bodleian Library. Do you remember the New Bodleian Library? It's been referred to as looking like a municipal swimming pool. That new Bodleian Library has been completely transformed. It has become the Western Library. The whole front has been taken out. Its plate glass window, it's been opened up to the world. It's become the new rare book and manuscript library for the university. And a month ago, we had a magnificent ceremony in which it was opened by Professor Stephen Hawking, an Oxford graduate, I remind you.
University College too.
Unfortunately, he did all of his great work in Cambridge, but never mind, we'll forget that. He was trained to think in Oxford, and that's the important part. It was a wonderful event, and it just reminded us again of the commitment to ensuring that we have in the university the highest quality of facilities. We have, as all of you remember, walking up the Woodstock Road as you pass Somerville College and before you get to Green Templeton College, there's where the old hospital used to be, the Radcliffe Infirmary. That now contains the new Radcliffe Humanities Centre. Interdisciplinary humanities research goes on there. And right next door to the Humanities Centre is a new mathematics institute designed by the distinguished architect Raphael Vinoli. On the other side of that space, imagine Walton Street, just opposite the Oxford University Press Building. A new school of government is rising out of the ground. It's the Blavatnik School of Government. It is a building designed by Herzog and de Meuron, the Swiss architects, and again it will be a part of modern Oxford, sitting cheek by jowl with the ancient university. A modern university, very, very, very much committed to the future. And I think for all of us, it's absolutely critical that we be sure that the university remains strong in these very uncertain times. Some of you may have heard we have an election on the horizon in the United Kingdom. It's almost certainly going to be the most unpredictable, uncertain election for a couple of generations. No one knows who is going to win. We do not know what the result of the election will be. We do not know what the impact of the election will be on higher education. Higher education has become a major political football in the election debate. We do not know all of these things, but we do know one thing. No matter who wins the election, the Prime Minister will be an Oxford graduate. And that's something that we have seen for nearly 100 years. There has not been a Prime Minister of England who went to university and who won an election since the 1920s who was not an Oxford graduate, and that's something that we can at least rely upon. It is so important that we retain a strong sense of commitment to the future, and an absolutely essential part of that is our alumni. And so, for me, there are few things more encouraging about the future than seeing all of you here, Oxford alumni, remaining part of the community, but retaining your links to Oxford. Please do, over the coming years, stay connected to your college, stay connected to the university. Yes, we need your support. Yes, of course, we have challenges in these uncertain times. We are in the middle of a major fundraising campaign. We have to be, because it's vital for the future that we keep our strength and our investment in different parts of our academic activities. The fundraising campaign is called Oxford Thinking. We've set a goal of £3 billion, and we will be announcing just after the election that we have reached the £2 billion mark. It's a vital part of the future of Oxford, and it has been very significantly the support of our alumni that has made it possible. And so for me, to see all of you here, to know the links that you keep with your college and the university, that gives me a great strength of feeling that as my time in Oxford, just as your times, you spent time in Oxford, it affected you in profound ways and you moved on in your life. I too will be, like you, leaving Oxford in a few months' time to take up my new role in New York University. But for me, Oxford will have always a very, very special place in my heart. And Oxford alumni will have a special place for me. There's something really rather unique and distinctive about Oxford alumni as I look at all of you here. And to me, that special characteristic of Oxford alumni is summed up in the story, and I'm sure some of you have heard this story. It was a rather tragic tale. It was three rowers who were on the River Isis. One was an Oxford graduate, one was a Cambridge graduate, and one was a University of Texas graduate. And as they were rowing, how you get two oars on one side and one on the other, but we won't worry about that. And while they were rowing, they were struck by lightning. It was a tragic story, and the boat sank and they drowned, and all of them died. But of course, being university graduates, they went to heaven, of course. And as they arrived at the gates of heaven, God was sitting on his throne in magnificent splendor. And God called the Cambridge graduate forward. He said, Cambridge graduate, come forward. Tell me, what do you believe? And the Cambridge graduate said, I believe in the power of mathematics, of rational thought, of being able to describe the world just as Stephen Hawking has done. And God said, that is magnificent. Come and sit at my left hand. And then he asked the University of Texas graduate to come forward as he sat there on his throne. Young person, young University of Texas graduate, come forward. Tell me, what do you believe? And the University of Texas graduate said, I believe in the power of can-do spirit, the great American outdoors, Texan energy, Texan innovation and initiative will solve every problem. And God said, that's magnificent. Come and sit at my right hand. And then God, sitting on his throne, said to the Oxford graduate, come forward, young Oxford graduate. Tell me, what do you believe? And the Oxford graduate said, I believe you're sitting in my chair. And to me, that sums up so much about an Oxford education. Ideas above station occasionally, but something very special in self-confidence, something very special in what can be contributed to the world. Thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you for being part of this occasion.
Thank you, Vice-Chancellor. Again, you've all been part of the great Oxford experience, and please do stay in touch with your college, with the university. But it doesn't have to end now, your Oxford education, and we have with us a representative of the Department for Continuing Education. More than 15,000 students take part-time classes in Oxford. Tremendous program, literally from archaeology to zoology. So the head of the Department for Continuing Education in Kellogg College, Jonathan Mickey, is with us this evening. So say hello to Jonathan if you can. Oxford also has a great tradition of permanent private halls in addition to Oxford colleges. And so we're very pleased to have with us the head of St. Benet's Hall, my dear friend Werner Girond. Where's Werner? Yep. Hello, Werner. And also Reverend Dr. Michael Lloyd of Wycliffe Hall. Reverend Lloyd, good to see you. And there's an old saying that behind every great man, there's some somewhat surprised woman. And so the really good sport and a great traveling companion, Jenny Hamilton, is with us. And again, Christine Fairchild, head of alumni relations from Oxford, heads all of alumni relations for the world. And so say hello to Christine when you can. And last but not least, my colleague Joanne Corey, who's head of alumni relations in the United States. So thank you for this warm Texas welcome, and please stay, mingle, say hello to one another, but thank you again for joining us this evening. All good. No Yankee. He was there, and he presented.
They were young,